Okay, today we are discussing more of the Mississippians, and I'm going to dig into the three realms or the three worlds that make up their cosmology. And I think this is a really, really good, kind of important topic conversation because like yesterday, like if you missed it yesterday, shame on you. That's what I'm going to say right off the bat, right? Shame on you, okay? Because yesterday I introduced the concept of talking about the Mississippians, and I went relatively deep into their creation myths, right? So I felt really good about digging into those creation myths of the Mississippians, right? So I did that. And that gave us a good foundation of how they believe the world came into existence, right? You know what? I gotta get the Facebook stream going at the same time. But I'm gonna lay out to you for you guys while I'm doing this, like what I'm actually doing here, okay? So the Mississippians, and again, this is me educating myself about Mississippian culture. This is me experiencing it and learning this along with you guys, right? The three realms are new information for me as well. But I see some themes, right, that obviously are very significant. And I think we can draw a lot out of what this culture was saying, like what these people actually believed. We can draw a lot of that out by measuring how people express their beliefs or what the common beliefs among the people really were. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get the appropriate tags in here so I can really just let loose. But I think the most significant thing about this is that we're able to kind of piece together who these people were, what their belief systems were in a lot of ways, right? It's kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing to understand their cosmology and how deep their cosmology actually was. So I feel like this is the most respectful thing that I could do is like dig into it. And so the interesting thing that we're getting, let me get the broadcast going. I'm taking too long trying to get my tags in and all that. But I want it to be thorough. I want it to be thorough. Okay. So the first interesting component of this cosmology is one what we learned the other day through their creation myth, and this is probably going to be important to this conversation right now. This is an establishing fact about how they saw the world. This is a big part of their cosmology was how they were created, and their creation was water based. So that this is important. Again, the Mississippians, we would take the dominant physical landscape geography of the area and apply that to most cultures. People who lived on volcanoes tend to worship volcano deities, right? People who lived in high mountains tend to worship a mountain deity. So people who live near rivers, we see that becomes a central part of their character because for them, this literally is where life comes from, right? There's not an exception to that rule. They believe that water is actually the source of life. That's not a joke. So when you understand that, that gives you a good understanding of who the people are in a big regard. But the other part of it is it gives us a framework for how they're seeing the universe, how they're explaining the universe themselves. And this idea was that this creation itself is balanced. So there is chaos and there is order that exist together. That's a framework we need to understand as we dig into understanding what these three worlds are. So without that context, we don't understand this part. So now that we understand that in this context, this cosmology of the Mississippians, that chaos and order were not at odds, life and death were not at odds. They existed together in this liminal space. And that's all going to make a little bit more sense when we start talking about these specific realms. So when I talk about these three realms, these three worlds, that we're talking about with the Mississippian people, fundamentally we're talking about predictably the upper realm, the lower realm that we have over here. Oh man, lower realms over here, and then we have the middle realm. Guess where we are, right? Like that doesn't take much to say that. So we are the middle realm. But the thing about it is that when we call them three worlds, it's not that these are three. It's not the world is, it's difficult to understand as a concept that the world is not separate places. These are three forces that are all happening at the same time, right? So these forces all together balance out to make where we exist at right now. And it'll make more sense as I get deeper and deeper into it on a couple of levels. And this is what's kind of fascinating about this belief system. That again, I'm just educating myself about the beliefs of the Mississippians. It's just, understanding America, right? That is just, I wanted to understand the mythologies of the people who lived in this land. And this is a great exposure to it. So when we talk about the upper realm, this is not just a metaphor for sky. And that's what we see in a lot of belief systems, that the sky god is often dominant. And we see the symbolism of the dominant world, right? We're used to interpreting the world that way. The upper world is more sky. But that's not the real representation. It's not just sky. It is pressure from above. It's pressure, and this is a unique thing to kind of explain, because we already talk about this realm, and we talk about things like, hey, Kat, oh yeah, okay, definitely check this one out, but I appreciate you stopping in. So when we talk about this realm, we're talking light, we're talking sky, we're talking storms. That's just the surface level of what this is. We're going to get a whole lot deeper than that. So go and pull up a chair, right? Go on and pull up a chair while I serve this meal up right now. This is going to be a delightful one, right? So we have to think, okay, so the upper realm, beyond just lightning and the storms and the stuff that we see, this is the world of thought. This is the world of vision. It is the realm of judgment and of expectation. This is the part of reality that says this is how things should be. It's an authority, but it's a different type of authority, because it is the example. It is the primary example. The upper realm is that, right? It is that realm. This is how things should be. It is strength it is the strength there in this realm that gives direction. The universe itself draws direction from this upper realm, because we're going to explain what the lower realm is later, and it ain't that, right? Not a bad realm, but the upper realm is specifically the strength. It creates structure for the entire. So this is the manifestation of order, and again, order is not opposed to chaos. That's not the relationship that we have here. They just exist. So this is structure. This is the realm that brings about clarity. This is true understanding. This is the mechanisms of how the universe works, all operating within this upper realm. This is a divider. It becomes, without this, everything else loses its clarity. Everything shifts without it. This is the important part of the upper world. The true importance. The storms, all those things are expression of energy, right? And those energies are meant to transform change. So none of that's by accident, right? These are natural forces. This is where it really gets deep, okay? So the upper realm, because the interesting thing, and I have to say this to you guys about these realms, okay? The way that we represent these realms, we are also talking about you. When we talk about how the Mississippians saw the three realms, they see those things represented in us. Every single one of us, each human, we exist in these three realms at the same time. We exist in this. We are influenced by this. So what the upper realm on a personal level can mean to you is that when you see someone who is overthinking, when you see someone who is controlling, when you see someone who imposes order without understanding, this represents the upper world being out of balance, right? If that makes sense, right? It's too controlling. It is structure and it is order, but when that structure and order is not balanced, it becomes controlling, right? Order becomes controlling if it is not balanced, okay? Not because order is evil, because this is what order is. And unbalanced it falls out of order, like any other system. So these things are important because we're understanding how the worlds connect to each other. So let's think about the people who came up with this mythologies, who came up with this idea, this viewpoint of everything, creation, and how they reflected it as internal levels of how they personally fit in with the world around them. Okay. So this is a big understanding. This is a huge understanding and getting a grip on seeing the world through their eyes. And I think this part is very revealing about who they are. Now, the next part of it, of course, is the underworld. Okay. And let's be honest, okay? Let's be honest about the underworld. It is chaotic down there, right? Yes, the underworld is 100% mad chaotic because it's the underworld. Like, this is what I do, right? I don't understand what else you would think I would do, right? I'm water. I'm the unknown. Why do you think they call me the unknown? Because if I was the known, that would be orderly, right? Just the fact that I am the unknown should tell you everything about who I am. So, and the whole thing about it is, and remember, if you saw the creation myth story, which you should go watch it, I'm telling you, not right now, but go watch it after you get done watching this, right? The unknown had to be breached. There was no creation until we dove into the unknown, put away the fear of the unknown, put away the fear of the chaos, that they were able to bring up the first substance that would be creation itself and the earth. Okay, so this is important, right? You guys got to step up on this already. So that's what came out of this lower realm. So the lower realm, of course, it's chaos. Chaos is also potential. Chaos is like, I could be anything. Right now, I'm not being anything other than chaos. I'm just running around acting crazy. But I could be anything. This is fundamental when we think about not only this belief system, but think about accepted cosmology right now in Western science, right? And I never compare Western science to anything because it's Western science, right? We get that, right? But what does Western science also say about dark matter, right? It is the potential energy of the universe. First, we know that the universe continues to expand, right? And that is credited to all this dark matter. I think it's dark matter is a term that they use for it. It's still chaos. It's still the universe's chaos that could create everything. This is what they mean in those words. That it was from that chaos that you get actual creation because it has potential there. Now, the real intent of the story that ties it in is that the creature that dives down there to retrieve this first substance represented intelligence and intent and courage. These are the things that were necessary for creation in this world. If you could go into this underworld, they had a great reward for you. The reward wasn't the big thing. We thought the reward was the big thing. The reward was not the big thing. The big thing that it taught us was that this realm is chaos, and we can't control the chaos, but we benefit from the chaos. Ultimately, it's what keeps the world expanding. Without it, we do not exist. The world does not continue to grow without that chaotic nature. So again, it has to remain in balance. This lower realm, and again, think about what it's linked to or what the Mississippians linked this to. It is linked to emotions. It is linked to instinct. It is linked to memory. Obviously, water is always linked to memory. It is linked to your subconscious, right? So this is all the stuff that you feel before you think. I don't know if that resonates, but the underworld is associated with all the feelings that you have before you think. And you see what the symbol is. The symbol is a big old snake who's waiting for something to happen, right? All the things that you do before you think. Your gut emotions before higher order kicks in. That's what this world, and sometimes it wins. Sometimes somebody does something to you and your emotions kick in and oops, I did it again, right? So we understand that. We get that 100%. So this is what this realm, or this is what these people understood this realm to be. And obviously that without this place, without the strength of it, which is the source of creativity. Chaos and creativity are intricately linked throughout most mythologies. It's 100% truth, right? It's chaos. Like order obviously can produce beautiful art and beautiful manifestations, like very ordered cities and architecture and things like that. But within their structured order, for them to achieve higher levels, they require a bit of chaos to enter into their thinking, right? They have to embrace a little bit because that's what promotes change. Order itself can be very beautiful, but it's the variations within order that allow real, like co-stimulating things. So this is kind of what we see, that this is the realm that is the source of things transforming. This is the realm of getting it done, right? It is the source of truth beneath the surface. And to dwell, and that was also the symbolism of this first creature diving into the water, because you're like, wow, I'm in here and I don't even know what's going to happen. I can't even conceive of what could possibly be here. But it took intellect, it took intent, and it took courage to die there. So this is the myth of the Mississippians in their creation. So what is the danger that comes with this lower realm? Well, that's not even hard to fathom what's wrong with this world. I talked about all the great things that happen with the lower realm, like what it means, like that you can get potential out of it, that it's a source of life, it's a source of creation, it's a source of like creativity, all the good things about it. But we would be dishonest if we did not mention the fact that, yeah, but it's still chaos. It is still chaos, and there's a lot of danger that comes with chaos. This is the danger of this realm, is that it can overwhelm, it can confuse. It is in itself the loss of direction. It is drowning in feelings and emotions. It is the untethered component when your subconscious starts to run your brain, when you react more on your instincts, your fears, your pathologies, things of that nature. Those are where the lower realm is not being your friend. It's not against you, but really, if this is when you see someone, right, you'll understand this. When you see someone who is acting purely off of emotions, and they're consumed by like fear and desires, and they cannot find direction, this is lower world dominance. Right? And again, we have to understand how these people were related, because they're also talking about you, right? That's how quickly this relates. And of course, none of this would mean anything, right? Without the middle world, right? The middle world. Not just Earth, but the battlefield. This is how it is described. It is the battlefield in this cosmology. This is where everything happens. The middle realm is decisions, it is actions. This is the world of experience, right? So if we think about this as being three halves of ourselves, this is us at our most awakened. This is us in the manifestation. Between the chaos, between the order and between the chaos is where we manifest experience. This is their wording. I would say existence, but the wording that specifically they say is experience. This is where your thoughts and your feelings actually collide. This is where they get it on. This is where your emotions and your intellect are gonna have it out, right? You're having a monumental moment, and your two or your three places are at odds, right? You want to do something, your brain is telling you not to. You got to make a choice. Like your emotions are like, do this. Your brain is like, don't you dare do that. They're meeting in the middle space. This is where it goes down. This is where that distinction actually matters, because the middle world is where the consequences actually exist. This is where everything manifests. It's here. It's right here in this space. We're dealing with them. We're dealing with them. It's like Jesus Christ. Now you guys come to our house, and that's where everything gets settled in the dust. So we have to handle all the real consequences of what these two characters do. So this is the key. The middle realm is absolutely key. And this is the most important component of it, is there is truly danger here because it is real consequence. It is real consequence that you manifest the right balance is the easiest way. If you get pulled over to over controlling, you are ruled by your higher realm. You are more you're controlling. You could get out of hand with that, right? Like you need to be tempered back. But if you pull back too much into your chaotic, your lower, well, that's problematic as well. So it is your job, your balance, to maintain your balance between these two halves of yourself. The same realms that existed in cosmology itself. You are manifested of the same cosmology, is what these people are telling you. It is not a different order. To me, this is truly as below, so above. This is truly the manifestation of one world, and you are manifested in the forces of this world. So we're digging a little bit deeper into what the cosmology of these people actually means, how it reads. Now, what they believe about the death cycle, or how you exist in this world, I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet, right? But we're gonna put in the time. I'm putting in the research on this, and I'm gonna break down exactly what their cosmology believes based on what we know. And a lot of this is passed on through oral tradition, right? So this is a task indeed, but there's enough information now, or more information that we're accessible to start to piece together what the cosmologies of the Mississippians and other Americans, other groups that existed in the Americas pre-colonization. So just a great mythology that I think we've been missing out on. It's a great understanding of the world, and I really gotta be honest. Like when I look at it, I'm just gonna check something. I'm just kind of using some AI tools though. But let's how do we compare these three realms to what we see in the Greek belief systems, when they had obviously Olympus, they had Tartarus, and I believe there was a third realm that existed in the Greek belief systems, or like there's Hades. So how do these relate, or am I wrong on that? Because that's something like the Greeks kind of represented three realms, and I think that's interesting because I know the Norse, like the Germanic, they were nine, right? They were nine realms. Obviously, nine is just, three is just the root of nine. So those two numbers are kind of different. So the Greeks had Olympus, Earth, Hades, Tartarus. Okay, so this is kind of a belief system that's a little bit different. Were there any other belief systems that had three worlds, that were divided in three worlds like that? I think that's the most important thing. I just want to figure out if there's any other connections to any other cultural mythologies based on like three different upper. Okay, so the answers I get back is but now you're changing the answer. Obviously, there's Asgard, Midgard, Hell, Niflheim, lower realm, right? So it is kind of saying that the Greek cosmology, I know it was called like nine realms, but the answer that I'm getting is basically that. It's repeating that, and then three obviously being like the root of it, right? The Greek cosmology, I just asked you this, right? So you have Olympus, you have Earth, you have Tartarus. So again, we're seeing a replication of the three realms. So it's obviously pretty consistent. Even in Hindu cosmology, they have upper, they have Earth, they have the middle. So we're seeing a lot. So Mesoamerican belief systems, which is kind of right there with this like Mesoamerican system. There were sky realms, there was Earth, human world, and the underworld. So yeah, like the pattern of three is probably the most prevalent. But if I'm correct, who doesn't have that? Because that means that Kemet didn't have that, right? Is that what you're saying? Kemet didn't have that. Did the Sumerians? Like Sumerians also had that, right? Or am I wrong on that one? Because I think so we're adding another. Like the Sumerians also believe that, because there obviously was the physical realm. Then there of course was Inanna was the goddess of heaven, and she descended into the underworld. So Kemet's a little different. Like we talk about what the ancient Egyptian believed, theirs doesn't break out into a kind of a clean three, level system like that. And neither does the Sumerians. I think Sumerians are kind of close. But so we're seeing where the associations are. That is not an unknown concept. That's pretty prevalent concept of three realms, or derivative of three realms. And their belief systems fits right into it. So I'm gonna wrap this one for now. Like I felt like I kind of got into it pretty deep on just how their world operates. I may go deeper into each realm, but I think I'm gonna try and move on. And the next section, I think, man, what do I have mapped out here? I think the next thing we're gonna look at is probably maybe their beliefs in death. I think might be the next one, but I'll give you guys a heads up before I drop it because I got to do a little more like pulling together of some research. But I'll be back on tomorrow, probably about this time, and I'll do the next section. Like I said, I'm probably gonna look at see what their I'm either gonna do what their death understanding or death belief systems are. And I think that's actually what I'm going to get into. So let's check it out tomorrow. As always, I ask you hit that like and subscribe. And if you have some questions or comments, let's roll the dice on it and see what we can come up with in terms of good solid answers. But I always appreciate your support. Thank you for stopping in again.